Welcome to the True Blue Riffcast, the number one Riff Tracks podcast in the world. I am Superfan Jeremy, and I am joined, as always, by...
Hi, everybody. I'm Superfan Dave. I've been told that I need to mellow out and calm it down, so I'm going to do the whole podcast like I'm Eeyore. Isn't that great?
Sure is, Dave.
Yes.
And that was our new theme song. That was Rock Till You Die by Songwriter X and the Skeleton Band. You can check
Yay, skeleton people.
You can check them out on YouTube. Just do a search for Songwriter X and the Skeleton Band, and you can check out all of their songs. Or, of course, you can click on the link that we have in the episode description. So, Dave, aside from being all mellow, how was your week?
Well, I was at wrestling training, and I had a match in a steel cage for the first time. It was exciting.
Did he have you for 3 minutes?
No, Jeremy.
Aww.
Macho Man Randy Savage was not there performing as Bonesaw McGraw. He was not there.
Well,
okay, I can't keep this up.
It would have been real interesting if he was there.
Yeah, because he's dead. So how was your week? Did you do anything fun? Wildly off the rail.
Yes. Not really, no. It was just a normal week for me. Busy, you know.
I bet it was until you saw Karate Cop.
Yeah. We'll definitely be talking about Karate Cop later on.
Well, we got some words to say about that mess.
Also, Crater Lake Monster coming up later this episode.
Yes, finally.
And our short reviews of Riff Track Shorts today is going to be for If Mirrors Could Talk. First, let's take a look at some headlines.
Headlines. Rawr.
Here's your weekly reminder that Riff Tracks has a Patreon now. Head on over to patreon.com/rifftracks to sign up. You still have some time to sign up and get founding Traxian status, which gives you an extra little achievement on the website. Still won't catch you up to the ranked number one.
You know what? Just shut up. Just shut up. Just shut up with that. No one cares, Jeremy. Okay? No one cares.
In case you can't tell, Dave really doesn't like that.
I don't.
I not actually
don't like it at all. That's some bullcrap.
So I have to rub it in as much as I can. Yeah, go sign up for the Patreon. It's $3 a month.
Oh, they just put up the first post on the Patreon, and it was an extended preview for Karate Cop.
Yeah, which is something new. They didn't actually give.
Yeah, they didn't do that on Drip.
Yeah, so that's kind of nice. So you have something else to look forward to. Another reason to sign up for it.
I still hope that they still do talking Drip tracks. I always found that to be quite enjoyable.
I'm sure they will. I don't see why they wouldn't. I think they liked doing that also. At least it seemed like they did. Yeah,
it looked like it was a lot of fun.
In some news that's not really a surprise to most, Spider-Man is back in the MCU.
I was surprised when I heard this news, honestly.
I figured they would probably work something out. And look, they did. Sony and Disney came to a new agreement. Disney's going to get a new percentage other than 5% off of the opening day tickets.
It's 25%. I think it's 25% plus merchandise.
Oh, hey. Well, whatever. I'm just glad that they're keeping Spidey where he is because they don't have to awkwardly change stuff and try and work around things. Kevin Feige said that he's going to be producing the next Spider-Man movie and that Spider-Man will be making appearances in the MCU.
Yeah, they said that it's going to be one. They've made a deal for one more Spider-Man movie, which is it's probably end up being 4 altogether because they've been saying that they want to do one for each year of his high school, even though he was dead for 5 years, but whatever.
Yeah.
And also he's going to make at least one appearance in another MCU film. And I honestly hope it's Thor. That he's in Thor What's the one the sequel that Taika Waititi's doing? The one with Natalie Portman.
Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder. Yeah, I think he would be a great fit for that, to kind of like be in Thor's world, because we haven't really seen him hang out with Thor yet.
Yeah, and here's the surprising part of this: Spider-Man 3 will be coming out in 2 years, and actually just under 2 years, because it will be out in July of 2021.
I really do like that. I really like the 2-year interval, because it's long enough, but it's not too long. I think 3 years is kind of too long, but it's also not like, with Twilight and to a lesser extent Hunger Games, where you'd have a movie every year for 5 years or 4 years. That's cool. I mean, I guess, but I mean, I think 2 years is like that perfect interval. Be like, oh, here it comes, because with The Last Jedi, and now with The Rise of Skywalker coming, like, it's still super fresh, but we're just enough removed from it. Can you believe it's been 4 years since The Force Awakens? Can you believe that? 4
years? It doesn't feel like it's been 4 years.
It's been 4 years, man. Yeah, it's crazy.
Speaking of 2021 and the MCU, though, this will mark the first time that they've had 4 movies out in 1 year. The first one's going to be Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, followed by Spider-Man 3, then Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which is the MCU's first horror movie, and then the year will be wrapped up with Thor: Love and Thunder.
I don't know how I feel about that first one, but those other ones should be pretty cool.
Yeah, Shang-Chi, it's one of those properties that not a lot of people... Yeah. So, but hey, they did good with Ant-Man. They did good with Guardians of the Galaxy. All these other properties that people weren't really familiar with.
Other huge pop culture things.
Yeah. So, I'm willing to give it a shot and see how it goes. Let's take a look now at the weekend box office. The number one movie of the weekend, the new DreamWorks movie Abominable. Some CGI thing. I don't really know much about it.
CGI monstrosity, yeah.
Downton Abbey coming in at number 2.
That's weird. That is weird, man. Downton Abbey has a movie in theaters. Yeah. Can we talk about that for like 2 seconds? How weird that is.
That's weird.
It's super weird. Okay, now we can move on.
Yeah. Hustlers at number 3, It Chapter 2 at number 4, and Ad Astra coming in at number 5.
Where's Last Blood?
Number 6.
Oh, okay. I hear about that movie, because I still want to go see it, but I hear that it's like people either like it's like, oh, this is the most awesome thing ever, or I'm hearing like it's the most terrible, awful thing you'll ever see in your life.
Either way makes me a little bit excited to see it.
Yeah.
But let's move on now from headlines to our short reviews of Riff Track Shorts. Yes! For today's short review of Riff Track Shorts, we're going to be taking a look at If Mirrors Could Speak from April 10th, 2008. Clowns are terrifying. Just look at Wizzo. This short focuses on 3. We've got a nihilist, we've got a bully, and a thief in this short. And they're all made up as clowns because that's how their classmates see them. There's a talking mirror, of course, in this short, and it speaks to each of the 3 kids to show them how others see them. It's a good idea, but the Michael Bay Transformers movie sounded like a good idea to Paramount, too. If they would have shown this in my school when I was a kid, I probably would have found it hilarious. That's the baseline with this short. Watching it with the riffs makes me laugh until I have coughing fits, although that could just be the post-nasal drip.
I do remember you telling me that you were watching this when you were prepping for the podcast and writing this, that you almost died watching this short.
I did, because I was laughing so hard that I started hacking and coughing and almost couldn't catch my breath. But this short gets 5 jerk kids out of 5 and is an essential short.
I'm going to have to check this one out. I'll have to part with $1 if I don't already have it.
I'd be surprised if you don't actually have this one sitting in your library already.
I'll take a look, but after the podcast.
Well, I would appreciate that. Now let's move on from the shorts to the not so short and take a look at our first VOD, Karate Cop.
Oh, man. Why did this happen?
this sure was a movie that got released direct to video in 1993.
Yeah. Okay, so let's set the table for Karate Cop. Okay, now apparently this is a sequel to Omega Cop, which Riff Trax actually riffed and released last year that stars Adam West. Okay.
Oh, you mean they did these in the right order?
Yes, they did do these in the correct order.
Wow.
we gotta stop giving them crap about that. But they did it. They riffed it and released it last year, and I bought it and I watched it, but I only watched it once, and I kind of forgot a lot about it. And the reason for that is it's because it's actually Jeremy's fault, because the same day that Omega Cop was released, I watched Omega Cop, and then Jeremy said, "Hey, I have this other movie that you need to watch like right now. It's crazy." And it was a movie called Shocking Dark. And not to get into Shocking Dark because we'll be here all day, but it literally kind of just took over like my entire memory of that day. Like Omega Cop was just erased from my memory because Shocking Dark was just so crazy bad that it's just like I became obsessed with it for about 2 or 3 days after that. So Omega Cop in my memory is just gone.
But that's okay because it really doesn't have much to do with Karate Cop.
No, it really
other
doesn't.
Than the main character, and it's still a post-apocalyptic world trying to be like Mad Max, but it's not type of setting.
Now, the thing is that this sounds like a joke, but it's not. Future Force literally has more to do with Karate Cop than Omega Cop does. And we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah. One of the working titles for Karate Cop was actually Omega Cop 2, The Challenge. It was also called at one point Dragon Cop, which it was actually released in France and the UK as. But Dave and I, right before we started recording the podcast, while we were bringing up all this stuff, we kind of fell down a little bit of a hole with Ron Marchini,
who produced and starred in both Omega Cop and Karate Cop. Yes. And I said it was my fault because I said, that guy Snaker, right? He's my favorite actor. And then I said he probably never worked again. So I looked up the actor that did Snaker, and he was actually in Omega Cop as like some raccoon person, which is weird. But he was also in another movie. Here, let me bring that up.
Yeah, he was also in Jungle Wolf, which was written partially by Ronald Marchini, who also starred in it.
And then there was a sequel to that movie called Return Fire, Jungle Wolf 2, which was released in 1988, which also starred our friend Ronald Marchini, but also starred Adam West, who was also in Omega Cop.
Which came out 2 years after Jungle Wolf 2. And then the weirdness keeps going here, folks, because he was in a few other movies that, he wrote, and some of them he directed, like Death Machines and Dragon's Quest and Ninja Warriors.
Can I read the descriptions for Death Machines? Then I'll let you continue with what you were saying. But I have to get this in here because when I read this, I couldn't believe I was seeing this sentence. I couldn't believe this sentence exists.
Yes, please do.
Death Machines, 1976. An evil Oriental dragon lady injects 3 martial arts fighters with a serum that turns them into zombie-like assassins, and she sends them out against her enemies. That's a real thing I just said. I did not make that up. That exists in space and time.
Yeah, it's not a normal thing that you would read. But if we continue to go through Ron Marchini, or is it Marchini? I don't know. It's like the cherries. I'm not sure how to say it. The last film that he made after Karate Cop is a film
I can't contain myself
called Karate Raider. And this one is interesting because it doesn't have Adam West in it, but it has Burt Ward in it. And also Joe Estevez.
Joe Estevez.
Our friend from Roller Gator.
Baby Ghost.
I know that they want to do Baby Ghost, Karate Cop. Let's talk about the actual movie for a little bit.
It's the standard dystopia that so many of these Riff Tracks direct-to-video movies are in.
I had started watching it last night, and I'm getting through like the first 10 or 15 minutes or so, and the movie itself just felt bleh. Like it was such a slog, and nothing was really, I mean, there was some fighting, sure, but nothing really interesting was happening. And I sent Dave a message, and I'm like, look, if something crazy needs to happen in this movie, or it's going to be hard to make it through the rest of it. 5 minutes later,
and then you're like, wait, what?
Started, because that's where the teleporter showed up.
Like, it's a teleporter.
So the lady that was rescued at the very beginning of the movie has access to this teleporter and a warehouse full of orphans called freebies.
Why didn't they use that teleporter to rescue her?
The crystal was broken. The Omega Karate Cop had to go and get another crystal that was in a different warehouse that was being guarded by like these weird monks that were like throat singing and like
that never showed up again.
Just kind of grunting at each other. Yeah. It was really just odd. In between this time, of course, we get to see the best character of the movie, Snaker. And his boss, evil Guy Fieri.
Evil Guy Fieri with his mustache and whatever.
And the best riff shows the guy doing the thumbs up to thumbs down thing, and they say cheese fries, for the thumbs up, and then he puts the thumbs down and he says fries without cheese.
Yeah, that's a keeper right there.
That was Sean's favorite moment of the movie, by the way.
Fun.
During one of the pit fighting scenes, the people are yelling at each other. There's a riff about Infinite Jest and how the ending of it was a cop out. And it was just Wallace's. I don't even remember how they said it, but his meta humor reaching its logical conclusion or something like that. And that one was definitely Connor.
There's a reference to Children of the Corn in this one too. He who walks behind the rose.
Yes, we had Children of the Corn. We had a callback to Over the Top.
Yeah, a double elimination tournament.
We had a callback to Octoman. You're only allowed to have this much dark in your movie if you're going through a cave searching for Octoman.
Yep.
Really like that one. There were a few other callbacks in this one. One thing that I would like to note, this riff had a new contributing author for Riff Tracks.
Yeah, this is weird. I mean, it's good, but weird.
Yeah, the one and only Gail Simone contributed some jokes to this flick, and there's a welcome addition to the writing team. She does a great job on comics that she's written. So I look forward to seeing more from her in the future, hopefully.
Welcome back from the edit, everybody. I was going to say there was a comic that I really wanted to read that Gail Simone wrote for the New 52, and I was waiting for the trade paperback to come out. And it's my fault that it got canceled because I was waiting for it to come out in collected trade. Thing is, I couldn't remember what the hell it was called. It had like 6 original characters in it, and it was supposed to be some kind of resistance, fight against the power kind of, like that kind of thing. And it was supposed to be really good, and I was just waiting because I had like 10,000 other comics in my freaking hold that I was reading at the time. And I just figured, okay, that's just going to be one that I'm going to wait for the collected one. And then it got canceled, and I felt bad because whatever. But anyway.
So Gail, feel free to chide Dave here on Twitter.
Yeah, do that because that's something I need in my life.
Let him know what's up.
At Sugar Ray Dodge.
Yeah, let him know what's up, Gail.
See if DC wants to publish Storybook. It'll be great. Anyway, I'll get that in there.
Nice.
That's my comic series. Anyway, moving on.
The Karate Cop is it gets really bizarre, like I wasn't expecting it. And it even gets more bizarre because right after he leaves the weird throat singing cult area, he goes into Jackass Junction. And Dave, who appears in Jackass Junction?
But David Carradine shows up. I saw him showed up. I was like, effing what? Like, are you kidding? It's like I honestly felt like it was Tucker from Future Force. Like he'd retired from cops and that he had started his bar and that they were old friends, but then he got killed. So it was just weird. And insert your own masturbation joke here. Thank you. Autoerotic asphyxiation, etc.
Which I was kind of surprised they didn't make one right there. They did drop one in later. It's like a half hour after Carradine's in the movie, or at least it feels like a half hour. God knows how long it actually was.
This movie dragged. It was so horribly bad.
That's why I was glad that they started doing the really weird stuff, like the whole teleporter needing crystals, and it's just, I'm so glad that they put that in there, because I don't know how the people at Roof Tracks would have even made it through a screening, getting ready to work on this one without something that crazy in it, especially after already going through the first Omega Cop, which doesn't have anything that crazy in it.
That's really all I got to say about Karate Cop is just, screw this movie.
You really got to be in a particular mood for this one, I think.
Yeah.
The riffs are good, but...
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I had a good time, but it's just like the movie is just like, why does this exist? This is dumb.
This might be like Omega Cop, where I don't actually watch it again, or at least I won't anytime soon. It's not one that I'm rushing to turn on again and rewatch immediately. Unlike our next movie,
which I've seen about 10 billion times.
Dave has been chomping at the bit to talk about this one. This is the other holdover from our listener poll, which we are going to be bringing back this week. But we'll talk about that a little bit after we talk about the Crater Lake Monster.
It's Crater Lake Monster. It's a jaunty little deal about this lake named Crater up in apparently Northern California. But I thought up until a few minutes ago, I'd always assumed that it was just in Oregon, the more famous Crater Lake.
Yeah.
But I guess it's in Northern California. There's a cryptid in the lake, or there was. See, okay, the movie starts with a meteor crash. And the meteor crash warms some like long petrified. It's like Game of Thrones, where it's like the dragons come to life after being warmed up by the fire. It comes up and it's a plesiosaur, and it starts eating people. And you have this really incompetent county sheriff who doesn't have any deputies. It's just him, which I always find really strange when movies do this, that a county sheriff would just be like a one-man show. Like, come on. And he's hanging out with this guy named Doc. Now, I've seen this movie about 10 billion times. I could not tell you what Doc's purpose is. Everyone in town seems to know him. He's like Gandalf, only he's not going around destroying everybody's life. No, that's what Gandalf does.
Yeah, that's pretty much all he was good at.
Yeah. You're having this nice existence here. I'm going to throw you into this thing that you've got nothing to do with.
Go fight this dragon.
Yeah. So anyway, and also there are these two scientists, Dan and Blondie. They're kind of like the science. This is like, it's not as bad as The Last Shark. They do take a lot of cues from Jaws. I mean, it's the late 70s. I mean, of course they're going to do that.
Yeah.
But they're kind of like the Richard Dreyfuses of the whole thing. And they don't get much screen time because most of the screen time, I mean, there's no Quint in this movie. Like, the Quint faction of all this is the real stars of the movies. These two hicks who run a boat dock.
Yeah, the boat rental service.
Yeah, the boat rental service. Mitch and Arnie, who are the real stars of the whole thing. And there's like this inordinate amount of time spent hanging out with these two doofuses. The worst slapstick you'll ever see in the history of film. It's something to behold. And most of it is played against is like the music that's played over it is like this canned kind of right. That I have like the entire canned library of Crater Lake Monster in my head, like the soundtrack for Crater Lake Monster. It's tattooed on my skull, and sometimes I'll actually find myself going right. So, but I was watching The Toys That Made Us recently, and I can't remember over what. And I was like, this is the music from Crater Lake Monster. But anyway, and then it ends with Arnie getting eaten by the dinosaur. Let's talk about that for a minute. The ending of this movie, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Like after all that, they kill their comic relief. Like that's the worst thing. That's the worst thing you could do in a movie is murder the comic relief.
But how did they do it? How did they? Because how they do it is pretty dang funny. Like,
he gets whipped around like a rag doll by this claymation plesiosaur, like rah rah rah, that just throws him across this. It's not a beach, but it's like this construction site that's near the water.
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah.
And then right after that, because the sheriff he kills the monster with a bulldozer.
It's not even like a real bulldozer. It's like one of these. I don't even know what it is. It's like I think it might be something for like laying down asphalt.
Yeah, but he hits it with the bulldozer, causing it to drop Arnie.
Yeah,
corpse, and then it tries to pick Arnie back up, and the sheriff keeps hitting him in the neck over and over with this big piece of heavy machinery.
Yeah, he scraped him. He scraped him to death.
It's just so weird. Like, it's such a weird way to finish off. I don't know.
Yeah, this thing that had eaten like so many cows and people. Oh, and did you know that one of the victims was a United States senator?
Yeah, he was wasn't he like the first customer for the
like he was a. Did you know he was a U.S. senator? Like what? Wait, why have you been sitting on this information? What?
Yeah.
Did you know he was like I can't get over that. So he was a U.S. senator. What? And it's this message just like in passing in freaking Dan's house.
Yeah.
Right. From Steve to Doc. You know.
Oh man, I like that they ended it with Mitch vowing to continue the boat rental service that he and Arnie started.
There are boats, Arnie.
Our boats.
Our boats. Our boats, Arnie. I mean, if that's it, it's be like, oh well, I want to go kill myself. You know. It's just like what? Anyway, the more like within the context of riff tracks, this movie is extremely important.
Yes,
it was a turning point because the riff previous to this, actually the three riffs previous to this, sort of ended the MP3 only era. They ended it. It was Karate Kid 3, Highlander, and Wrath of Khan, and then they didn't do any riffs for like a month. And then they came back. Riff Tracks is back, and it was with Crater Lake Monster and The Devil's Hand, and it was the first one that it was a VOD where they actually went out and kind of like, because up till this point, the VODs that they had done had been like public domain and things like that. Yeah. This was the first one that they actually went out and got the rights for. They actually went out and paid somebody some money to get the rights and to put this out. And it's actually, for me, it's a cornerstone for riff tracks. It's weird because, and another weird thing about Crater Lake Monster is that it's also the first one to be not available for a period of time. I remember, I'm glad that I got it because I guess that it disappeared from availability for a long time, but if you already bought it, you were still able to watch it. Because of course you'd paid for it, but later on they got the rights back and it was available again. This will happen. Like titles will like drop off and like they won't make a big deal about it. But this was kind of like one where it was unavailable, and you couldn't find, if you didn't already own it, you couldn't find it for a long time. And it's available again, which I'm actually very, very happy about. It's been available again for about 5 years.
Yeah.
But it was gone for a while. So,
and
but
it's
yeah,
not the only time that that riffs have gone away and come back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It happened with the 2 Doctor Who movies.
Yeah, the 2 Doctor Who ones. Yeah, they had a thing going on with the BBC.
Yeah, those were actually gone for a while, like
long time.
And then they came back right before they did the 5 Doctors,
which is great because they're fantastic riffs.
Oh, indeed.
But anyway, so Crater Lake Monster was the first. It launched the era of the. It didn't start the VOD only era because it's still 2011. That didn't start until McBain and Cool as Ice a couple of years later. The Crater Lake Monster started the pattern of like VOD, MP3, kind of like they were staggered.
Yeah.
That lasted until like through the end of 2012, which is kind of something I'd like to see them to get back into. But, we've talked about that already. But Crater Lake Monster is important in that fact, that it was a turning point.
Yeah. If you haven't seen this, it's definitely, like Dave said, it's a cornerstone. It's one of the essential riffs that they've released.
I wish they'd do more callbacks to Crater Lake Monster. Honestly, I mean, I know they do tons of references to Ghost House, but Crater Lake, I'd like to see him do more references to Crater Lake, just because I love it and I'm selfish, and I just think it'd be fun deep cuts for Crater Lake.
Yeah, I think this is another one of those almost forgotten riffs.
Oh yeah, it's definitely long forgotten
because it's one that you really don't hear people mentioning that often. I mean, it's definitely one of the classic releases, but you don't hear it mentioned anywhere near as much as Buffalo Rider and Guy from Harlem and the really like
Ghost House.
Yeah, the ones that really took off for them and have just been mainstays. This one should be a mainstay.
Yeah, it should be right up there with like Plan 9 and everything, because it's that important. Not just because of it was a turning point, just because of the content. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. So now that we've actually finally gotten to talk about the Crater Lake Monster, we have finally cleared out our previous listener poll, and we're heading into October. It'll actually be October by the time this episode goes up. So we're going to restart the listener poll, and it's going to be kind of like leaning more towards horror type movies. So the first 3 movies that are going to be on the listener poll this week are Ruby, which is by far still one of the weirdest movies that Riff Tracks has done.
And it was released the day after Riff Tracks Live Mothra.
Yes. Which is kind of unusual in and of itself. But we've talked about that before. We'll probably bring it up again when we talk about Ruby. But The Ice Cream Man, starring Clint Howard.
I love that so much.
And The House on Sorority Row, the movie with one of the dirtiest pools I've ever seen.
Why do we fixate on that pool so much? I mean, just in this podcast, we've talked about that pool at least 5 times.
There's good reason that we talk about that pool, and if this one wins the listener poll,
just clean it out. Just clean out your pool.
We'll definitely talk about it some more because it's a character in the movie at this point. So yeah, Ruby, Ice Cream Man, and The House on Sorority Row. That poll will be going up in a couple days from when this episode went up. So make sure you look out for that on Twitter and Facebook. And that's going to do it for us this week, folks.
That went by a little shorter than it usually does, because usually we're blathering on forever and ever.
Yeah. Well, we do have a nice big chunk that we cut out in the middle there.
Yeah, oh, by the way, I found out what it was. Dale, if you're listening. Okay. If you listened all the way to the end, it was called The Movement.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, but it's called The Movement. I meant to read it. I didn't, and I got canceled, and it's my fault. So
yeah, it's all your fault.
You can go ahead and at me if you want.
At Sugar Ray Dodge.
Yeah.
But I'm Jeremy. You can find me at pbandawesome.com. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at pbandawesome. You can send me emails, jeremy@trueblueriffcast.com. And you can follow the podcast on Twitter at TBRiffcast.
And I'm Dave Chadwick, a.k.a. Sugar Ray Dodge. You can check me out on the web at sugarraydodge.com. Send me emails at dave@trueblueriffcast.com.
And that's it for us. We will see you guys next time.
See ya.
Rock,